So I just thought it was really cool to document, the shows, and it was really neat to get some really cool concert shots in there.
They gained popularity pretty fast. I'd say within a year's time, a lot of people knew about them that never knew about them before, and their popularity got bigger and bigger after that.
Cliff, he would like headbang, and the rest of the band would be going like this fast. He would be going like half speed, and I could just get some incredible shots of him with his hair sticking straight up in the air. Yeah, you couldn't get a bad photo of him. He was just an incredible bass player all the way around. But yeah, I think Cliff, he was just, I don't know, I've never seen anybody like him to this day. I mean, he used all the crazy wah-wah pedals, the effects and stuff. It was just incredible. Just the conviction they had on stage. James, at first he wasn't that much of a front man. He wasn't very sure of himself, but through the years he's really gotten really good at that. Now it's like he's a natural up there.
So what do you think is important for an album to come out and become a classic?
Wow. We're still working on that, it's never the best. Never. You can always do it better, and you're never satisfied, which is not a bad thing. You always want to find that perfect thing, and that's what kind of drives you. I think the drive and the will to try new things, to experiment and to push each other.
In early 1983, Metallica were invited to New York by store owner John Zazula, who funded the recording of their debut album and released it on his own Megaforce label after failing to interest any record labels in the band. But before this happened, Dave Mustaine was fired.
Yeah, well, Dave had been a problem for a long time with his alcoholism and such, basically when they were they had basically decided they wanted to get rid of him when they were traveling to New York to get ready to record the album, they were like I think listening to tapes on the way down there while Dave was sleeping in the back, and they were very interested in Kirk Hammett, who played with a band called Exodus, who Metallica had played with a few times.
So when they got there, it was like, Johnny Z's like, hey, great, let's sign a record contract, and they're like, we got a problem. So they called Kirk, and he was the only guy they called. And I remember when he got that call, he was like, Exodus was doing really well. And he was asking, he asked me, his friends and stuff, what do you think I should do? And I said, well, man, they're signing a record deal, dude, and they're really good. So, you might want to think about doing that.
So it was like when they first got there to New York, it's like they made the phone call to Kirk, and they wanted Kirk to fly out there, and then they had to tell Dave, hey dude, you're out of the band. Like they did, I think the day after, the first day they were there, they all get around Dave and wake him up and tell him he's out of the band. And which was of course very upsetting to Dave. They put him on a Greyhound bus all the way back to L.A. from New York to L.A. So he had a couple of days on the road to think about it, and they had to get him out of there because Kirk was flying in, and if Kirk got in there, it would have been a big fight. So they had to get Dave out of there as soon as they could.
Musically, it was really a nice fit, but I think personality-wise, something had to give. But what they brought to the table together for Metallica was really unique, because there's a lot of riffs that Dave had brought to Metallica that they used even later on after he left.
Dave did everything 110. He was on 10 all the time, Whatever Dave wanted, Dave got, basically, So when he left the band, they lost a little something, but they gained stability as far as I'm concerned. Kirk's a good guitar player too, so I think that's what they needed. Dave running that show would have probably ended up dragging them straight down the toilet.
Dave was difficult. He was enough to deal with when he was sober. When that guy got drunk, forget about it.
Mustaine went on through Megadeth to develop and forge his own path, come up with some great material and some great ideas in his own right, but they're very much Mustaine driving his own furrow. With other people involved, but it is still very much Mustaine's vision. Metallica became the vision of all of them. So the importance of where Metallica went is the fact that they never tried to replace what Mustaine was. They took on their own role. On Kill 'Em All, I think you can hear with Four Horsemen, which is also known as Mechanics, and done by Megadeth on their first album, Killing Is My Business, and Business Is Good, Mustaine's influence, the way that songs were structured. That a lot of Mustaine's vocal phrasing Hetfield took on when he became the lead singer in the band. And Mustaine has always been very vocal about the fact that Hetfield was influenced heavily by what he did.
Megadeth and Metallica would have a tempestuous relationship for the next 2 decades. But in 1983, Metallica had more important things on their minds.